47 million people uninsured and underinsured.
Yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against
But you didn't answer the question.
Welcome to the 2019 presidential debate. We are your debate moderators, Peter Reed, Brielle Resch, and Keegan Baker.
Today we will be hearing from our Democratic candidate, Brady Francisco, Republican candidate, Cami Scantlin, and third-party candidate, Mohammed Jafar. We'll start with the first question, which will go to Brady. How will you deal with healthcare and its affordability?
Regarding healthcare, I plan to reinstate the Affordable Health Care Act in America to make healthcare more affordable for those impoverished who are more likely to be bankrupted by the cost of healthcare and just the general cost of well-being in America.
Okay, same question to Cami.
Regarding healthcare, I don't want to compromise the quality of healthcare for its cost. That's why I believe it's best that healthcare is privatized. Where it's socialized, like places in the UK, people wait for months for treatment for conditions that are considered non-fatal. They are also kept from the newest medical technologies and given kind of second-rate care. Of course, a $0 copay is fantastic, but only if you make it through your breast cancer or your Crohn's or whatever may be afflicting you. So I think that privatized healthcare is the best way to keep the majority of Americans healthy.
Next question to Mohammed.
Okay, so I believe that healthcare is a universal thing that everyone should have. You know, most people in America can't afford the prices that we put on healthcare now. So what we must do is we must increase taxes just a little bit so that the more people we have, the more healthcare and the easier it is to get it.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
And moving on to our second question. How do you plan on helping veterans in order for them to have a more successful life after serving? And Cami, you can start this one.
I believe that veterans can have extended work opportunities through the military. I believe military funding is of utmost importance because we do have the role of police power in the world, and I think that we need to encourage people to serve by giving them rewards when they get out. It is of the utmost importance to American safety that we have a vast military, so I believe military spending, and especially spending on veteran job opportunities after they get out, is of critical importance.
And Mohammed?
Yes, could you please repeat the question?
Yes, of course. How do you plan on helping veterans in order for them to have a more successful life after serving?
Okay, well, first things first, we must start off by saying that I definitely support the veterans, and I think that the United States military, being one of the best, should have great support for the veterans of the country. Now, my plan on bringing the veterans more support is, first of all, free healthcare, right? Because everybody needs healthcare, especially the veterans who come back from war after they've served the country. After that, I plan to bring many more programs to the veterans who can come back and reinstate their not normal, but a new and better life here, back home.
Thank you. And Mr. Francisco?
Although I do support military spending, I think the best way to provide a better life after veterans and their time serving for America, I think the best way to provide that is with social programs rather than military spending, which is more likely to go to foreign intervention and arms for the military rather than the people and the veterans who need the opportunities after they serve. But Mohammed, do you really think that people are willing to pay extra taxes just for free healthcare?
Well, see, people are not willing to pay taxes.
Excuse me. Okay, please continue.
Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, Brady, would anybody really like to pay taxes? No. But, you know, the people who have the money should be able to, you know, give a little bit away to see those, their neighbors, not their neighbors, but their fellow citizens strive to be, you know, healthy and alive.
Thank you for your time.
Moving on to our third question for Mr. Jafar. With the importance of national and economic security, what are your policies on illegal immigration?
Well, that is a very good question there, Mr. Baker. So, one more time. Could you just repeat that?
With the importance of national and economic security, what are your policies on illegal immigration?
So, illegal immigration is a very, very profound topic, and you know, I myself being an immigrant, it definitely brings in a very a topic that hits home. So, I think that immigrants do have a place in America. It is the country of immigrants, after all. But illegal immigrants is not where America should be. Take it away, Brady.
Can you repeat the question, please?
With the importance of national and economic security, what are your policies on illegal immigration?
I believe that America needs to be stricter on illegal immigration due to, excuse me, Mohammed, other than trying to make this debate a comedy show for yourself, I'm trying to really address the issues of America. As I continue, I know. Thank you, Kimmy. As I was saying, I think illegal immigrants are bringing in not only more people in diversity, but they're also putting us at risk of certain violence and crime.
Okay. So, I am a big fan of legal immigration. My problem with illegal immigration is you have to know who's here, driving cars, owning guns, and partaking in public services such as education. It's a matter of law and order and being able to budget for our country. It's a matter of our sovereignty. So I think that the best thing to do is to encourage legal immigration by cutting down on the delays of outdated paperwork and also streamlining how they process files and the steps required.
The United States has dealt with the decline in education. This question goes to Brady. What do you believe are the sources of the decline in our education system, and what steps will you take to changing it?
I think, first off, the decline in our education was caused by the initiation of No Child Left Behind. I feel like the only way to fix that is to instate a better developed curriculum across nationwide schools, promoting quality of education rather than the quantity of students that are successful. I believe that the curriculum should be adaptive to the different learning styles that students need to comprehend in order to learn the information. I also believe that regarding education, teacher wages should be increased, as well as school hours should be pushed back to increase the more successful rate of teachers as a whole and the living style of those teachers, as well as the decrease in mental health rates, the decrease in mental illness rates in student populations on public campuses due to stress and early start times for students in public schools.
Thank you. Cammy, same question.
So he actually made a decent point with the No Child Left Behind. My mother's a teacher, and she's constantly instructed to teach to the lower end of children so that everybody can make it through the standardized testing. I think if we didn't put such an emphasis on standardized testing in terms of what school's going to get funding, there would be less pressure on the teacher just to teach to the test. It would be more comprehensive, and kids would be able to get a better understanding of the material.
Same question to you, Mohammed.
Yes, so I think that one problem we are not addressing with the quality of our education is the problem of sleep. Of course, I know that many of you students here do not get enough sleep, and that's a really big problem because you don't get enough sleep, your brain doesn't think as well. So I think that we need to, to push back the start of our school times, and sometimes, make sure that the young people of America get enough sleep and make sure that they get the proper education so that they can learn much better.
Thank you.
And on to our next question. Ms. Gantling, you will be answering this one first. Should there be a limit to the Social Security given to the retired and elderly people?
I believe that it should be properly vetted based on need and not create such a wide net of people that we think qualify for such services. I think by having a little bit more extensive research on who's qualifying, we would know where our money's going as opposed to kind of throwing money out there and hoping that it hits the right recipients.
Thank you. Mr. Jafar?
Yes, I mean, I think that the question here wasn't exactly asked properly. Of course, there must be a limit on everything because, I mean, you can't just give money away. Of course, you know, America does have a very good economy at the moment, but you can't just give money away. So yes, there must be a limit. There must be a limit to everything. The right question is, what is the limit and how much are we willing to give to the people who need that?
Would you mind answering that then?
Answering what?
The limit.
The limit is to people who need enough. It depends. We have to bring in more workers and figure out how much people need to be able to survive. Not survive, but rather live well with the money that we're able to give them.
Mr. Francisco?
Now, Mohammed, you did reference how you wanted to provide health Medicare for all.
Yes.
Wouldn't there be a limit on that Medicare under your newly profound philosophy of limiting things in America?
Yes, as I had just said previously 2 minutes ago, we must have limits on everything. Although I do propose Medicare, that does not mean free money and free healthcare for everybody. Or it means free healthcare for everybody. It doesn't mean an unlimited amount of healthcare. Of course, we must limit everything, but everybody should be able to get enough so that they are living well. Mr. Francisco.
I don't think I'm allowed to respond to that. I respond to the question. I do believe that there should be a limit put on who's able to accept social services, especially in the elderly, due to some people having enough wealth to pay for as much health care as they need and as much social programs and aid they need to get. But there are many people in the nation that are impoverished and need the health care and social services in their old age.
Thank you.
Our next question for Mr. Jafar. In 2019, drug abuse is still a major national problem. What is your plan to address this issue?
That's a very good question there, Mr. Baker. So drug abuse has been a very large problem of us ever since the problem is up in the East Coast with opioids and Of course, the issue is great, and my idea on stopping that is, of course, bringing more security and having not stronger or not stricter borders, but just more patrols and stronger security at the borders to make sure that they don't get in as easily.
Mr. Francisco.
Can you repeat the question, please?
In 2019, drug abuse is still a major national problem. Do you plan to address this issue?
Yes, I plan to address this issue by providing social services and programs, initiating rehab across the states, funded by the government and advocated by the government.
Kim?
Yes, I do. And I believe the best way to do this is through enforcement. And it's mostly enforcing where people are getting it, which is through the border or through doctors who are overprescribing it and making it much too easy to get a hold of. I think if we can crack down on those two sources, we're going to have a much easier time. The other thing is focusing our efforts on the fentanyl and the opioids and other big ticket drugs, not little teeny tiny things like marijuana where we're already kind of having some gray. I think if we get the drugs that are killing the American people, we can make for a much safer nation.
Our time is up. Thank you for attending the 2019 presidential debate, and thank you to our panelists.